This is Arts Alive. I'm Linda Philippi. My guests today are Stephanie Belt-Verhoff and Jamie Korf. They're here from Gallery Theater to talk about the upcoming production of Quilters. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you.
So it opens February 22nd, is that correct? And runs through?
March 16th.
Okay, with the Friday, Saturday, Sunday performances as usual?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. So let's talk about the play. What's Quilters? What's that about?
Well, it's a compilation of stories, all surrounding different women, and it's so hard to explain, different times in their lives. Lots of stories about women as children, as mothers, as older women.
And it specifically highlights pioneer women and their connection to quilts, both as a necessity and also as a creative outlet. And so throughout the entire play, we display different types of quilting patterns which help to explain what the various stories are about. So the cast is 7 women, but we all play a variety of roles, from sisters to playing male parts as well. So as an actor, it's awesome because you're really challenged to try a lot of different things on stage.
Okay, so it's like little vignettes. And at one point you might be a younger person, one point you might be an older person. I get it. Okay,
Yeah.
So one of those. So is everybody sitting around like a big quilting frame? Not so much, no?
Not necessarily. The vignettes are very interactive, and each vignette highlights a musical piece. It is a musical, so whatever the song is kind of highlighting what's happening in the scene. And then the quilting blocks are displayed, and then eventually at the end of the show, all of those blocks create one huge quilt that's displayed.
Are you really telling that?
I'm sorry.
It's supposed to be a surprise.
It's supposed to be a surprise. Okay, well, sorry.
I don't think that's really that big of a spoiler alert. I mean, you know,
Ding, ding, ding.
I mean, really, no, I think it's fine.
Okay.
One would assume that a bunch of blocks would go together and make a quilt.
Yeah.
That's a pretty logical progression. So I think it's okay.
Sure.
So singing, as far as singing goes, are you both experienced singers?
I think there's a wide variety as far as the amount of experience that each of us has. We have some people who have extensive training, and then we have people who just dabble a little bit, like me.
Okay.
And it's perfect, though. It's not going to be what you might want a choir to sound like. It's going to be real voices, and it's beautiful music.
So it sounds like the way you're describing it, that there's not necessarily, you know, the one heroine or, you know, one central figure. The whole thing is just like vignettes of stories and different kinds of things, and the way that lives intertwine.
For the most part,
Yeah.
we do have one character who guides us through the show, and that's Sarah. She's the mother. And
Who plays Sarah?
Ginger.
Oh, she's fabulous.
Yes.
I love it. Okay, she's great.
She is wonderful. And we call her Mom now.
Yeah.
Do you?
Or Ma.
Yeah, or Ma, yeah.
Fun. Okay.
She's become like a mother to us.
Yeah.
So as far as the music goes, has that been real challenging for you, or?
It has been challenging. We started rehearsing the music at the end of November, and specifically just started at the very beginning with music rehearsals, really focusing on the different parts, the ensemble parts within the music, and really getting those down before we ever got out on stage and started with the movement. So piece by piece, detail by detail, we went through the music, and I'm really glad that we did that, actually, because it's made it easier in the end to add the other elements.
Well, you feel like you're really well grounded with the music. Okay.
Getting there.
For the most part.
For the most part, yeah, it is challenging.
It is very challenging music.
Is it? Well, I'm sure it's original, written for this show, obviously. So, but is it like sort of old-fashioned kind of music? Since we're talking about like the 30s and
It's kind of got a country bluegrass feel for the most part. There are some other songs that sound like hymns as well. And but for the most part, we've got the bluegrass feel. We have yet to practice with a band.
Oh, okay.
But
So will
From
you
what I
have-
understand, there will be a fiddle player and a banjo player, a guitar player, or I think the guitar banjo player will be the same person.
So right now you're practicing to taped music?
Just the piano.
Oh, a
Yeah,
piano.
the piano.
Okay. Oh, that's going to be fun though, isn't it? Yeah, I would think so. And tell me, so can you talk a little bit about some of your characters that you play, maybe?
Yeah, sure.
Sure.
Okay.
I played Jenny, and she's the oldest daughter of Sarah. And she's kind of a little bit of the leader of the women. She introduces the show and kind of starts everything off. And then I play a girl named Luann who is pining after finding a husband. And she wants one so much that she goes and sets up a quilting frame outside and just waits for some man to come along and see her quilting a beautiful pattern. And so that's maybe one of my kind of funnier characters that I play, of this girl just waiting and hoping that someone will, wishing and dreaming kind of thing.
Does she find someone?
She does.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I don't want to give it away. But
Oh, that's okay. And what about you, Jamie?
Probably my favorite role that I play is Cassie, and she's not a recurring role, but she has a pretty big monologue, and she tells a story of how she loses her husband.
Oh.
So it's a very touching scene. It's definitely challenging for me, but I definitely can relate to the character on how she would feel if I were to lose my husband. And I also play Dana. She's also one of Sarah's daughters. And I also play a schoolboy who is a huge disturbance to the class, and that one is rather fun. And I also play a jilted girl who is in love with a player. I don't know what they would call a player in pioneer times.
A cad.
Yeah.
There you go.
I don't know.
So those are some of my favorites.
Oh, how fun. So really, I mean, you do have a lot of roles.
Yeah.
Multiple, and so that it's slipping in and out of different characters and different costumes. I mean, that's part of the fun and the challenge, I suppose.
Yeah, except for we don't change our costumes.
Oh.
We'll play one character, like you go from Cassie straight to another character, just like that, and it all happens on stage. So.
Oh, so there's no running off and changing clothes and all that. So, I mean, in terms of the costumes, are they just pretty simple? Okay.
Yeah, kind of pioneer women with
aprons.
and calico prints.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it could be like a wide stretch of time, just sort of a longish dress and an apron and the whole thing. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting. All right.
Yeah. Some of us do have some props that might distinguish us from a different character.
Such as when you're playing a little schoolboy. I hope you don't have to play him in a dress.
Well, I am wearing a dress, but some of the women who play men wear hats, cowboy hats, and so just little things like that. But really, we're on stage the whole show. There is hardly any scenes where we're not all
Or the seven
on.
of you aren't always on. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, so, and you're all interacting pretty much through the whole thing?
For the most part.
Oh, okay. So there's not a lot of standing around and trying to, like, look interested.
Really, there's not. We're really interacting throughout the entire
Okay,
play. It
good.
really is an ensemble piece that, each person that's in the play really has kind of the same amount of lines, and we each have solos, and so it really takes all of us working together and trusting one another to put the piece on. We really have to all be engaged in what's happening at all times on stage.
And you were saying that this is your first role with Gallery?
Yeah.
Okay, and so obviously now that you're part of the Gallery family, what do you think?
I love it. It's an amazing place. Carolyn, the director, has done an excellent job in staging this very difficult, almost abstract kind of play. And I'm excited to audition for more things and stay involved.
Good for
Yeah,
you.
it's a super community theater. Yeah.
And Jamie, I know you said you did Rocky Horror last year,
I did.
which got a lot of awards at awards night.
Yes, it did. It was very exciting. Rocky Horror was completely different than this, so I'm looking forward to this new experience. And this is a lot more challenging as an actress and a singer, especially. So I think it's going to be a lot more rewarding too.
But you can both see yourself continuing on and doing more roles with gallery.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
I'm the same with Stephanie. I love gallery now, and it is like a family, but there's still a lot of gallery regulars that I haven't even met yet. So,
well, who else is in the play? So I've heard Ginger, you two.
Alice.
Oh yeah, of course,
Darton.
Alice, right?
Debbie.
Okay.
And Jenny.
and Elizabeth.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. So, and I mean, it's obviously fun when it's all kind of a different energy when it's all women than when there's
so different.
So different. Yeah.
I love it. I love it though. As surprising as it sounds, it's actually quite drama-free.
It is, yeah. It's
I was unsure when I was thinking we're going to be spending
estrogen
all
in
this
one
time
place.
with 7 women, but it's
um,
actually been nice.
I think that just the stories have bonded us together, and the whole intent of the show and vision of the show is very clear, and it's about the strength of women and what they endured, as they were headed out west, and how many children they had, and all of these stories that happened to them. I don't know how you couldn't just be impacted by the truth of these women's lives.
Well, I love quilts, and I have some quilts. In fact, some of my quilts are going to be in the play.
Oh, awesome.
Because Carolyn put a thing out and said, I need quilts. Well, I have 3 quilts from my great-grandmother and who lived in Nebraska, and then I have 1 quilt from my grandmother who lived in Arkansas. And I said, well, am I going to get them back? And she said, well, of course you're going to get them back. I said, okay, you can use them. So, yeah. And I think I've always felt that like when you go to an estate sale or something and you see, the quilts or the crocheted pieces or the needlework, and you think how much of somebody's life that represents. I mean, back in the days when people had to quilt everything by hand. I mean, I know that the quilts that my great-grandmother made, every stitch was done by hand, and you think that is a lot of work.
Yeah.
And it just represents so much time on top of every other thing those women had to do, all day long to try to keep a family together. And really, it's such a meaningful thing, and gathering around like that and with other women and the stories that you tell, just the life that you share.
Yeah.
It's a really big deal. The whole quilting thing just represents such an amazing piece of history, really. I mean, the history of women's lives, it's different. It might not be a building or something like that, but it's something you can hold in your hand, and I think it's really amazing.
You mentioned history, and I did want to mention that the play Quilters is actually based off of a book.
Okay.
It's called Quilters and the Women in the Domestic Arts. It was written by 2 authors who interviewed in the early 1970s. They went to the panhandle of Texas and New Mexico and interviewed women whose families had been pioneers. And so the stories from the book are actually, a lot of the monologues and lines from the play are actually taken directly from that book. And the book is filled with pictures of the quilts that they've created.
Oh, I want to see that.
Yeah, it's awesome.
It'd be kind of cool to have some in the lobby to sell.
yeah.
People would probably really enjoy that.
That is a good idea.
Yeah.
Maybe the bookstore can get some in. I don't know. Well, we're almost out of time, ladies, so let's go through the dates again.
Okay.
And that is?
February 22nd through March 16th, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Tickets can be purchased online. Friday and Saturday shows start at 7:30 and Sunday at 3.
Perfect. Okay, great. Well, I'm really looking forward to opening night, and I can't wait to see you in this play.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.